Okay, we are going to go through why you should not buy a home in 2026 in Canada. And yes, I know how crazy that sounds in a country where we are constantly told real estate is the only path to wealth. But here is what actually happened in 2025. Canadian home prices fell at 4%, while TSX was up roughly 28%. That's not just an interesting stat. That's the difference in between growing your wealth and quietly falling behind. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through why 2026 could be one of those worst time to buy a home in Canada based on real data, not just headlines, and what you should be doing with your money instead. I'm a mortgage agent, work all across Canada, and if you want to talk about your specific situation, the link is in the description. Okay, let me show you what most people completely misunderstand about housing market right now. Here is what actually happened in 2025. Over 470,000 homes sold in Canada last year. Sales were down slightly from the year before 2024. Prices were basically flat, with the national average sitting around 670,000. At the same time, active listing jumped more than 7%. On the surface, that sounds pretty stable. But when you zoom out and look at where people money actually went, a very different story actually shows up. The TSX climbed from roughly 24,700 to over 31,000 in a single year. That is about 28% gain. So think about that. If you had $100,000 at the start of 2025 and invested it in the market, you're up about 28,000. If you use that same $100,000 as a down payment on the home, you likely lost money after the transaction's cost. And yet people still say real estate is safer. But here is the problem. 2026 is setting up to be even more dangerous than 2025. There is a tsunami coming in the Canadian housing market that most people just don't see or don't want to see. About 60% of the outstanding mortgages in Canada are renewing in 2026. Some of them already happened in 2025. Roughly 60% of those borrowers are facing higher payment at renewal. Even with the Bank of Canada rate where it is today, people who locked mortgages at 1.5% during the pandemic are seeing payment increase of hundreds of dollars per month. That creates the forced sellers. And when in worst, sellers hit the market at the same time prices do not rise, they fall. Now, here's the part new buyers don't think about. If you buy in 2026, you're buying at today's price and today's rate. And when you renew in 3 to 5 years, you could be facing that exact same shock. Which brings me to one of the most dangerous mistakes people make with the real estate. Leverage. Everyone loves leverage when prices are rising. But put down $100,000 on a $500,000 home. If prices go up 10%, yeah, you made $50,000. That sounds amazing. But leverage works both ways. In 2025, when the prices dropped 4%, that same $500,000 home lost $20,000 in value. That is 20% of your down payment just gone. And that's before the land transfer taxes, legal fees, commissions, and moving cost. Real estate can easily cost 6 to 8% just to buy and sell. Compare that to investing in the market, no leverage and minimal transaction cost. And in 2025, significantly better returns. Sometimes boring and liquid bit leverage, but even if the prices were absolutely flat, there is another cost that most people never calculate in: your opportunity cost. Let's say you have that $100,000 for a down payment. You buy a $500,000 home over 10 years. If prices grow at 3% annually, that home is worth roughly $670,000. Your $100,000 turns into $170,000 after mortgage paydown. That all sounds good. But now look at what is the alternative for the same exact money. You rent a similar place, you invest $100,000 and at conservatively 7% annual return, that same $100,000 becomes nearly $200,000. On top of that, you avoided property taxes, maintenance, insurance, and all the surprise repairs. And most importantly, you kept liquidity. You can access your money when you actually need it. This is one of the top reasons why high net worth households don't rush into buying just because everyone else is. Now let's talk about geography, because this matters in 2026. 2025 was a two-speed market. Ontario and BC, especially condos, were hit super hard. Other regions held up a bit better. A lot of people look and say, I'll just buy where the market is actually strong. But the pressure coming in 2026 and is not regional, it's national. Mortgage renewals affect households across the country. When payments rise everywhere, spending slows everywhere. And where spending slows, local economies feel it. CMHC is not forecasting a big price rebound. They are forecasting more transaction with a flat or pressured prices. That's not an environment you want to buy into expecting a quick appreciation. So, who should actually buy in 2020? People who are buying for lifestyle, not returns, not investment. People who plan to stay put for 10 years or more. People who can afford their payment even if the rate rises another 2% at renewal. But here is the real opportunity most people actually miss. If you already own a home, especially if you bought before 2020, you likely have equity in that house. The smartest move for many people is not buying another property, it's optimizing what they already have, using existing equity more efficiently, reducing risk, redirecting cash flow into assets that are actually growing. That's what smart money is doing right now. Not chasing real estate, actually optimizing it. So if you're thinking about buying in 2026, the real question is not, can I get into the market? Is this the best use of my money right now? Whether buying, waiting, or optimizing make sense depends entirely on your specific numbers. If you want to walk through that and see what strategies actually works for you, the link to book a meeting with me in description. And if you want to understand how to use your mortgage and your home equity more strategically without taking unnecessary risks, watch the next video. Because in 2026, the biggest risk is not missing out on real estate, it's a missing out on the opportunities that are actually building wealth. See you in the next video.